Okay, what's going on, guys? We are going live here. We have a game here of Flesh and Blood TCG. This time it's going to be a little different. We have on the left, we have, one sec here. On the left, we have Kano, and on the right, we have Dorinthea. This is going to be a ladder match of classic constructed, and the players involved here. We see so we have Will is going to be playing Warrior, and Steven is going to be playing Wizard today, and yeah, it should be an interesting match here. Classic constructed, so a little different from some of the Blitz games that people have been shown recently, but we'll see how this one goes. And Will here with the Wizard is an experienced player who's also been playing Mechanologist, whereas Steven is I believe he has played some other classes, but Wizard is his main. And Will is going to start off this game with a quick time snap potion going first. And his opponent throws out a copy of Reverberate to zap, and it's going to be blocked, and then there's going to be a snapback, and it looks like that's also going to be blocked. And okay, so Will defending heavily, and it looks like he's going to not have a lot for his own turn here. So he's defending very heavily. Pitched both of his blues. Not altogether sure why he did that, actually. I don't know. I think you can afford to take a little damage, and he's really blunted his own momentum here. So I think the best necessarily, but we'll have to see. So he's going to play a hit and run from Arsenal. Next weapon attack this turn gains go again. If you've attacked with a weapon this turn, your next attack this turn gains +3. And then he's maybe going to Arsenal this red overpower. No, it looks like the attack gets in, so probably he's going to pitch it for a second swing. It's a little interesting here. I'm not sure I would have blocked with both of those blues. I think if he had kept one for this turn, he could have had a much stronger turn, but that's not what he chose to do, and he's coming in now with another Dawnblade swing. So just a quick overview of this matchup. The Warrior tends to be very aggressive and can potentially do a bunch of damage. Wizard can either try to get damage through on the opponent's turn, can try to chip stuff in with Arcane, or can try to zap on his own turn. And sometimes these Wizard decks are also going to be trying to build up for one ultimate turn where they can do a ton of stuff. So Kano's ability being used here, Kano Drakai of Ether, instant for 3 energy. Look at the top card of your deck. If it's a non-attack action card, you may banish it. If you do, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant. So that is indeed what he's going for here. And we'll see. It looks like he finds a snap back and pitches for it for 3 arcane damage, and Will does have 3 null rune items equipped. So the null rune hood, arcane barrier 1, the null rune robe, arcane barrier 1, and the null rune gloves, arcane barrier 1. So with a total of arcane barrier 3, he can pitch up to 3 to block damage from arcane sources, but because he doesn't have any energy left, he's forced to just take the 3 damage from that snapback to put him down to 37. Now 37 to 27 does mean that he's going to be substantially ahead at this phase. So he does have that going for him. The Wizard player tends to be Wizard starts at less life than the other classes. And yeah. Now, interestingly, I didn't notice this at first, but Wizard of Alph has actually equipped an Iron Wrought plate as his chest armor. I'm not entirely sure why. I think that Fyendal's Spring Tunic is strictly better than this. There's no reason to play this and not Tunic, but it may be that he's playing based on the cards that he actually has and that he doesn't have a Tunic. Tunic is a very strong card, and it's definitely what you want to be playing over an Iron Wrought plate, I believe. So actually, I like playing Tunic as the Warrior in this matchup. Also, my approach is maybe a little different to some. So it looks like another hit and run is going to come out here. So hit and run blue this time, and a Dawnblade swing for 3. So it will have go again, but this time there's a lot of energy remaining, and there is going to potentially be some trickery coming here from our Warrior player. We could see this Stroke of Foresight being played as an attack reaction, and we could actually also see a blue overpower or something. Looks like he's going to hit the first swing and then come in again with a second swing for 3. So Steven's Wizard deck now down to 24 life. The Wizard's an interesting class because you do start with less life, but you have such a timing advantage that it often makes up for it. I think in Classic Constructed, typically speaking, Wizard is not considered to be the strongest. But if you're playing in the Blitz environment, that's very different, and it is actually one of the top decks. So we're seeing a single block, Stroke of Foresight being used here. Reprise is active, so if the defending hero is defended with a card from their hand, this chain link, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top or bottom. He finds, looks like that was a Warrior's Valor red, really strong card, unfortunately not what he needs right now. And interestingly, he's going to send it to the bottom. I'm kind of surprised. I would have thought that would be a good play for next turn, but or even he might even have wanted to keep that in order to put it in Arsenal. But I think he's trying to save the blue there in case we see any Wizard things coming in for damage. He will be able to pitch that blue in order to do some blocking. So he asks for anything before I Arsenal and pass. Steven says no, and he is going to Arsenal the blue over power, which is also a bit awkward, I think. The having that card in Arsenal can really be kind of unfortunate because it does mean that you're going to have a lot of energy to use it, and in this matchup, energy is at a premium, which is one of the reasons that I actually like playing. That's actually one of the reasons that I like playing the Fyendal Spring Tunic in this matchup, is to just get that little bit more energy. Your energy in a Warrior versus Wizard matchup is very precious because it is not only going to be your that energy is not only going to be your fueling your attacks, but it's also going to be fueling your defense because of the way that Arcane Barrier works. Okay, so we saw a copy of Scalding Rain coming in for 4. It was buffed up to 5. I think it was blocked. It was partially blocked, and then so it looks like 3 damage got through. So 2 damage was blocked. I think that was the Singing Steel Blade from earlier. Sorry for not being all over that while I was explaining something else. And then on the Warrior player's turn, he's going to pitch a Steelblade Supremacy to play Flock of the Featherwalkers. This is kind of a complicated card. As an additional cost to play it, you have to reveal a cost in your hand with cost 1 or less. A card in your hand with cost 1 or less, and he revealed a Razor Reflex. Create a Quicken Aura token with when you play an attack action card or attack with a weapon, destroy Quicken, then the attack gains go again. The Flock is going to be blocked for 3. That means 2 damage is going to get through. Now, Steven does now know that his opponent only has a Razor in his hand and can only block for 1. That does mean it's a vulnerable position, but he's not going to use Kano. He's going to save it. It looks like he has a pretty strong attack of his own this turn, and he's going to go for that rather than using Kano. He wants to keep that energy to fuel this. Going for an Ether Spindle with buffed up by his weapon here. So this weapon, the Crucible of Aetherweave, spend 1. The next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage instead deals that much arcane damage plus 1. Then he uses the Ether Spindle, so that's going to come in at strength 5, and he's going to be able to opt 5. 3 of it is blocked, so he's going to deal 2 damage and opt 2. Looks like 1 on top and 1 on the bottom of the deck, and then I think he'll Arsenal that Voltic Bolt. Voltic Bolt's a very strong card, one of the just a very basic card, just doing some damage, but you can pitch blue, use the Crucible of Aetherweave, throw out the Voltic Bolt. That's 6 arcane damage. That's going to chip some damage through against almost any opponent. Well, on Will's turn, he's going to go for the Quicken Token buff for the Dawnblade attack, coming in at strength 3. No blocks. That does mean he lands a strength 3 hit. Probably we're going to see that red hit and run being played now. And then, red hit and run played here. So this is going to be next weapon attack this turn gains go again. If you've attacked with a weapon this turn, and he has, your next attack this turn gains plus 3. So now he's able to make another weapon attack for strength 6 with go again. And unfortunately for Will, once again he finds himself low on energy. It was important to block against. That previous attack to prevent his opponent from landing a huge opt. So, but again, that means that against on his turn, he doesn't have a ton of energy, and he's coming in here without the energy that he needs to play that blue over power in Arsenal. Though, to be honest, it's going to be pretty difficult to play that, I think. By the way, shout out to some people who follow the channel between the last stream and this one. We got Spaceman Spiff, we got Chun Chun Dan, and we got Duver08. Thank you all for following the channel. Much appreciated. So back to the game. Looks like it was the double block there from Wizard of Alf, and now he's going to go for that play that I was just discussing last turn, where he pitches blue, uses his Crucible of the Etherweave for +1, then Voltic Bolt for 6. 3 of it is going to be blocked by pitching a Time Snap potion, and that does mean that 3 is going to get through. Now, if we look at the life totals, it's now 19-29. Which means, each player has taken 11 damage here. But having taken 11 damage as Wizard, of course, makes you closer to death than taking 11 damage as Warrior. Now, if we look at the hand here, once again, it's going to be a bit of an awkward hand. Actually, very awkward. So one thing that he could do is he could pitch the red Overpower and play that Flock of the Featherwalkers, showing the Energy Potion. Another thing that he could do is pitch the Energy Potion and just go for a Dawnblade swing, maybe being able to pitch into the blue Overpower that he has in Arsenal just to get that out of there. It's going to be kind of difficult, though. So this red Overpower, this can be a strong card, but it's really not the best in this matchup. If you don't have a lot of blue, and at least thus far, he's not had a ton of energy. So I suspect that Will is going to be using a variation of the deck that Matt Rogers had for the Red Riot Games tournament, or maybe just the exact same deck. Not entirely sure. But that deck is more of a tall deck than it is a wide one. It has some tricks with Twinning Blade and so on, and it looks like that might be what he's running. I'm not altogether sure how that's going to do. I don't know how many blues he's running, but at least thus far it seems like energy has kind of been a barrier for him with a few turns that have been constrained by lack of energy. USN Twitch has subscribed. Thank you very much for the subscription. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming here and supporting the channel. USN Twitch, shout out to you. All right. He does go for the Flock of the Featherwalkers play, so he pitches the red Overpower and then plays the Flock, revealing that Energy Potion. So coming in for 5 damage and creating that Quicken. Steven actually is not going to block. He's just going to take damage down to 14-29. Doesn't look great in terms of life totals, but that probably means he has something big coming. We also see there is a red Unmovable in the Wizard player's hand. This can be a core card in this matchup. Let's take a look at that. If this is played from Arsenal, it gains +1. He's probably going to try to clear his Arsenal to get that red Unmovable set up. Oh yeah, this is dangerous. So he plays Crucible of Etherweave and then an Ether Flare. This is a very strong card, and it can be especially strong against against decks that are trying to be aggressive, because it has essentially double damage in that it comes in for 3, and then the next card that you play this turn with an effect that deals Arcane instead deals that much Arcane plus X, where X is the damage dealt by Ether Flare. Will, once again with an awkward hand, 1 blue and 3 reds. I think he has to pitch here to try to prevent the bonus damage. It's possible he just wants to go really aggressive on his next turn, but yeah. USN Twitch in chat says, Deck Edge said I needed to watch you if I wanted to learn this game. Hey, shout out to Deck Edge then. I appreciate the shout out from you. Will actually is going to triple pitch to take 1 damage here. So 1 damage gets through. That means the next attack will be that much damage +1. And then a Snapback coming in. If you've played another Wizard non-attack action card this turn, you can play Snapback as though it were an instant. Snapback for 4. That time Will just takes the damage down to 24 life. Once again, the players have now both taken 16 damage, and Will is going to just play an Energy Potion and then pass over. This Energy Potion could actually be very important, because by destroying it, he can gain 2 energy. Could be just what he needs to give the get the energy at a crucial moment to do something big. However, it looks like Steven's not going to let that one go unpunished. With no cards in Will's hand and no energy floating, he's going to use Kano's ability to look at the top card of his deck. But it looks like he's struck out on that. He's not going to banish it. It might have been a defense reaction or something. Whatever it wasn't something that he could play in order to deal a bunch of damage, which is what I think he was hoping to do. I'm gonna USN Twitch. I'll give you some other suggestions in terms of learning the game. I think that the Flesh and Blood podcast, I think those guys are very advanced. I like some of the stuff that they've been doing with respect to strategy and so on. They're from New Zealand, which is the strongest region in this game, generally speaking, and I think those guys are pretty good. I think that, there's some other content. There's some other content that can be cool. I know that Rob Seigel has been doing some streams on the Talarian Dropouts channel. He's been doing some streams recently of his gameplay in skirmish tournaments. And if you go to fiddyshades.com, FIDD shades.com, there are some tournament reports there. I also have some tournament reports on my own blog at towernumber9.com. You can see how it's spelled out in the bottom right there of this stream, and I think there's some that's some content that I appreciate. There's also a lot of content over at Channel Fireball, but I think it's more mixed. I think there's definitely some really cool stuff on Channel Fireball, but there's also some stuff that I at least personally find less helpful. Okay, so in that situation, while I was explaining that, we saw another one of those powerful ether spindles coming in for 5 and opt X, where X is the damage caused. Will only blocked for 1 that time, so having blocked for 1, he ended up taking 4 damage, allowing opt 4. Now he's going to kick in. I think he sees his opportunity to try to do a huge turn here. He's kicking in his energy potion, getting 2 energy, and he has the go again from Quicken. Steelblade Supremacy coming in, strength 5 until end of turn. Until end of turn, target weapon gains +2, and whenever this weapon hits, draw a card. So coming in at strength 5, if it hits, draw a card. Whenever it hits, draw a card. And there's that Rid Unmovable. Perfect card to counter this situation, but Will has an option of his own, playing the Twinning Blade, allowing him to attack an additional time with his sword this turn. Now, you must have an action point to make that attack, but he does have it. Unfortunately, he's off by 1 on energy. He can't both play this hit and run and swing. If he did, he could come in for 8 here with Go Again, and it would be really, really strong. Because he has attacked with a weapon this turn, but unfortunately he was only able to, he had to pitch it to do the swing, once again constrained by energy, and the double block is going to make it mean that attack doesn't make it through. On the plus side, though, he did get a lot of cards away from Steven, and if not for that unmovable, he might well have scored a hit. Steven is just going to Arsenal and pass, and we are back to Will for once getting a lot of blue. This is more the speed that I think he's looking for here with 3 blue cards in hand. This is going to allow him a lot of energy to both make an attack and potentially defend himself. Coming in for 3, no blocks against this, probably is going to land a hit. He's going to have to break his Refraction Bolters for the Go Again here. Yep, Refraction Bolters, so when your weapon attack hits, you may destroy Refraction Bolters. If you do, the attack gains Go Again. Very strong item, maybe Warrior's best piece of equipment, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's a very strong card. And he is now going to play the hit and run and then swing. So the hit and run here being used as a buff. If you've attacked with a weapon this turn, your next attack this turn gains +1. So now he's coming in at strength 4. 4 is a good number in this game because you can normally only block for 3. Ooh, big block coming in. So we see a double block, blocking 3, 6, plus the Iron Rot Plate up to 7 against 4. But we're going to see that Overpower coming out now to counter it. Yep, blue Overpower pitches and plays it. Target weapon attack gets +2, and Reprise is active. If the defending hero has defended with a card from their hand this chain link, the attack gains an additional +2. So total of 4. Attack goes up to 8. It's going to hit for 1 damage, and that means that we can see the Dawnblade triggered here. If it hits and it's the second time it's hit this turn, put a +1 counter on it, and that +1 counter could be very crucial in the future. Great turn there. Great turn there for Will. Let's see here. Z-Spark XX says, good evening. How many Arcane Barrier do you usually need when playing against a wizard? It really depends. In Blitz, normally we're going to want to have 3 or 4. In Classic Constructed, I actually often run at just 2. I normally do Nullrune Hood, Nullrune Gloves, Find All Spring Tunic, and the Refraction Bolters in this matchup, but I haven't practiced it a huge amount. It's possible that's off base. So we're going to see a Crucible of Aetherweave lands a hit before the attack. Okay, so it's a Sonic Boom. So it's dealing 3 damage. If it deals damage, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a wizard non-attack action card, you may banish it. If you do, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant and it costs X resource points less to play, where X is the damage dealt by Sonic Boom. So he wants to put a strong attack on top of his deck, uses his Talismanic Lens to opt 2, allowing him to choose what it is. Looks like he actually didn't opt for an attack, but rather for a Tome. That's fine. It doesn't have to be an attack. It's just any non-attack action card. A lot of wizard non-attack action cards are basically attacks. He uses the tome to draw 2. Then he's going to pitch for Kano's ability. He finds a blue Voltic Bolt. He's going to pitch to play the blue Voltic Bolt, coming in for 3. This one's going to be blocked for 3. And yeah, yeah, it's blocked for 3. So the other thing that I'll say, Z-Spark, is that when I play this matchup, I'm also sideboarding in 3 copies of Irina's Prayer Red, which is an instant that can be used to block arcane damage. And that card I found is a really nice addition to ward off wizard players. And as a result of that, I run less Arcane Barrier than I might normally. Okay, so the Time Snap Potion being used here, finally being used, this was played on turn 1, used here to gain an additional action point, and then Dawnblade swinging for 4. And there's an extra action point, which means that this doesn't have go again, but it doesn't really need it. He's still going to be able to do something afterwards, even if this is blocked. And it looks like he has a strong option in hand here. He could potentially use that Singing Steel Blade to find a second copy of Twinning Blade. And that could be very strong if this attack gets stopped. It's going to be another red unmovable, this time from hand. So the unmovable is only coming in for 7, but that is going to be enough to stop. However, we could see Singing Steelblade played here and then used to find a copy of... so the Singing Steelblade is being played, so this could be used to find a copy of Twinning Blade, or it could find a Red Ironsong Response. Twinning Blade guarantees that you swing again. Red Ironsong Response would allow you to get over this block by 1, and if you can get over the block by 1, then you'll have the go again from Dorinthia's ability. He goes for the Red Ironsong. This is normally what I would want to do in this circumstance. So he's buffed up to 4, strength 8. He's getting in. Unfortunately, he is just going to be stopped by Fate Foreseen. So yeah, Fate Foreseen coming in. Tough break there. Tough break there for Will. Fate Foreseen going to stop what he's doing. And he is going to lose his Dawnblade counter. Doesn't have something to do with that second action point. So at the beginning of your end phase, if Dawnblade didn't hit, remove all +1 counters from Dawnblade. It's pretty unorthodox for a wizard player to be playing this many defense reactions, I think. Often wizard decks don't play any defense reactions at all. Then again, it is classic constructed. I'm not as familiar with that. It's possible that there is going to be more of that in here. It's because you do have that increased sideboarding option. So he uses his Crucible of Aetherweave to do nothing, and then just draws up. So that's a little trick you can do. You can pitch to Crucible of Aetherweave and then not play any cards if you just want to get something out of your hand. And it looks like he did want to get that red card out of his hand. Ooh, he now has the powerful Stir Forked combo set up. This could be, we're nearing the time when he could be going for the kill. Let's see what Will can do to try to get him before then. Put some pressure on. Okay, so he can't see his hand. That's a lag issue. I'm gonna try to flip and unflip the cards. Let's see if that fixes it for him. Yeah, so I believe Steven is playing from Australia and Will from the United States. So because of that, there is a bit of a connection issue. In Tabletop Simulator, sometimes one player can't see their own hand. The solution for that is for another player to highlight those cards and repeatedly hit the flip key, which is F, which will cause them to appear. All right, so Will asking, okay, what happened on your turn? Steven says, pitch for Crucible and passed. Will says, okay, so my go. Steven says, yep. And here we go. It's going to be a big turn here for Will. Dawnblade coming in for 3. It might not be as big as he's hoping, though. He doesn't have a means of giving his attack go again, but what he could do actually is just buff it up to be potentially lethal. That's what he's going to do here. Yeah, so Out for Blood takes it up to 6. And then also a Stroke of Foresight played there. Total strength 9. This is now lethal. There isn't a defense reaction, so that actually means that Steven is dead. And so what his only hope now is to combo off and kill Will before this resolves to kill him. So this is a definite threat. It's something that Wizard can do, but 16 life is a lot of life. I don't think he's in range. And I think ultimately he's not going to be able to prevail. We see a copy of Foreboding Bolt for 1 damage, and it opts 1. That is not what he needs to see here. I think this game's over. Using Kano again. Yeah, finds a reverberate, and he's going to send that one out. This is just coming in for 3. That's not enough. So he says 3 GG. 3 damage gets in, and then that's going to be that. So I think Steven was trying to save for a big combo, so he had a Stir the Ether Winds Red. I think his hope was going to be that he would play Stir the Ether Winds Red, and then he could go into the Forked Lightning here. So effects that modify damage modify both of the damage effects of Forked Lightning, and then you combine it. So there's 2 different things that deal 2 damage. And then each of those would get +3, so that would take this up to 10 damage. If he also uses his Crucible, then it goes up to 12 damage. And if he also uses his Metacarpus node, it goes up to 14 damage. So that would be a huge amount of damage he could throw out there. But yeah. All right, Inner Kailote says, hello. Yep. Hey, good to see you. USN Twitch asked, does TTS have a solid support structure established for bugs like the one you just mentioned for the player's hand not being visible? I just discovered TTS and that you could play games of Fab through it and through webcam setup. Been expensive month getting set up, haha. Yeah, so TTS, I don't know about the support structure in terms, like I think that bug is unlikely to be fixed anytime soon. It is under constant development though, so they have done various changes that have improved things. The specific Flesh and Blood mod is actually developed by a community member, and so that one's also pretty cool. And so I think that I'm actually going to be publishing an article on my own blog pretty soon with respect to playing on Tabletop Simulator versus playing on webcam. I think they both have their advantages. One of the biggest advantage of Tabletop Simulator is that you can use whatever cards that you want. You don't have to actually own all the cards that you're playing with, which makes it very good for testing. You can kind of try before you buy, or you can, even if you have all the cards, like I have all the cards that I want for Warrior more or less. But I can test out different warrior builds without having to sleeve and unsleeve all my cards. So TTS is, I think, better for testing. Webcam is a little more true to the TTS. Also just has like way better clarity and legibility, and like I can highlight cards very easily. You know, I can just hold down Alt to zoom stuff in. I actually have a video that I made about specifically on how to play on TTS, and I will post that here in chat. It goes over some of the useful functions. Let me find a link here and then send that over to the chat before we close down the stream. That was the game though. The attack reactions there from Warrior managing to push through for lethal before Wizard could do his big combo. So that is the way that it can go sometimes. All right, I'm going to quickly find that TTS video for you and send that to the chat here. Okay. How to play Flesh and Blood TCG on Tabletop Simulator. So this is, this goes over a bunch of the commands and stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, so that should be a link to my how to play Flesh and Blood on Tabletop Simulator thing. And let's see here. USN Twitch says it sounds like a huge asset to gameplay as a whole. Yeah, so I actually have yet to play this game for real in person because of the virus situation. And as a result, TTS and webcam play have been really important for me in being able to actually play this game. So I've really appreciated that, and it's been really cool. Now, I am looking forward to actually playing in person when the time comes. That's actually something that I've really been missing. I play a lot of games. I've played a lot of other games of this type. Definitely playing in person, and this one's not going to do that, at least thus far. So when the time comes, I'm really looking forward to it, but that's not right now. In any case, though, I think that all things considered, it's going to be a pretty fun time once the game becomes more available to in-person play. I'm in California, so we've had relatively strict lockdowns. I think there have been a few events at a store up in Sacramento, but it's it's one of those things where even if there have been events, it's not clear that those events are actually safe. And it's a long drive from where I'm at. Most of the stores near me are not doing events, so I'm looking forward to playing. I'm looking forward to playing for real, but at least thus far, there have been some cool options with available with Tabletop Simulator and with webcam. So USN Twitch says that he has bookmarked my site. I'm going to have. Thank you for doing that, first off. And I am going to have a article coming up soon that talks a little bit more about the specific differences between webcam and Twitch, as well as pointing people towards some online events that they can potentially join to play either of those formats as they see fit. I think that personally TTS is my preference, but I know there are a lot of people in the community who do prefer webcam. So like, it really depends. I think that TTS is. Before the recent skirmish series of tournaments, I would have said that TTS is overwhelmingly more popular among US players. In Canada, webcam is pretty popular. But the recent skirmish events have been they've only been played via the webcam. TTS has actually not been allowed for these events. So that's interesting. And as a result of that, there's been a bit more webcam play that's been coming up recently. Wizard of Alf says, was a fun game, not my best though. Yep, I was thinking, you were getting pretty close to doing the big combo, but unfortunately the attack reactions that don't require reprise at the end there were overwhelming. All right, guys, that is gonna do it for this stream. Thanks to you guys for watching. And actually, let me actually just throw in one other link. So there is the Flesh and Blood TTS ladder. This is an online event that I've been running. You can join this either with Tabletop Simulator or with webcam. There is a ladder being played. Anyone can join whenever they like. They can play as many or as few games as they like. And then it's a system that's going to be taking people's games and computing kind of an ELO score, and they can use that to then take a top 8 or whatever at the end. And I'm going to do a little tournament with single elimination for the top rated qualified players. And then the winner of that tournament is actually going to win a box of Welcome to Wraith booster packs. Welcome to Wraith Unlimited. This isn't going to be a huge money event, which was actually sponsored by Will, and that was actually sponsored by Will, the warrior player in this game. So shout out to him for providing that prize support for the ladder. And we're gonna see what happens there. But the ladder can be a good way to kind of do something that is, it's a little bit more competitive than just an average pickup game or whatever, and there is that lasting record aspect to it. But then at the same time, it's not as strict as like other tournaments or leagues, because you can kind of play at your own pace, at least during this initial phase. So I have the link there to Season 2 of the ladder if people want to sign up. Sparks says hello. Hello to you. Unfortunately, you have arrived just at the end of the stream. I'm just chatting with some players after the game. But good to see you, and perhaps you can watch the VOD or check out some other stuff in the future. All right, link to the ladder just sent there in the chat. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks to y'all for watching. I'll be back online tomorrow at 5 o'clock p.m. 5 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, I'm going to be broadcasting a game or two of my own from a Classic Constructed tournament that I played this past weekend. So we're going to have some Classic Constructed games of my own with my commentary after the fact. And then on Thursday, also at 5 o'clock p.m., I'm hoping to do some more streaming as well. So stay tuned for those broadcasts, guys. And check out the blog at towernumber9.com if you want to see some written content. I put up a bunch of tournament reports recently, and there's more to come on that front as well. Thanks to you all for watching, and I will catch you guys later.